Hey guys, Dave Keller here with Market Misbehavior, going through a series of 8 videos talking about the way that I end my daily journal. If you missed the previous videos, essentially at every morning after I get ready for the day and grab a cup of coffee, I sit down with a notebook and I write 3 pages in a journal. This comes from the book The Artist's Way that I read years ago, which encouraged me to have a good conversation with myself and get some of the luggage, the baggage out of the way, and focus on be able to unleash creativity by getting the obstacles out of the way. And the obstacles are all those other thoughts, all the other stuff that gets clogged up in your head, tasks and to-dos and responsibilities and all of that. And I found, any of my personal, professional success that has occurred over the last 5 to 10 years, I can attribute that in some small or large way to this daily exercise, because some of my best ideas have come from those 3 pages. I spent some time recently looking at the end of my daily journal. Here's the way I finish every daily entry, and I finished it the same way for a number of years. And over a period of the first couple of years I did it, I started creating this list of things that I just naturally would write at the end of the daily journal. It was a way to just remind myself of what was important to me. It became sort of a daily mantra to repeat, and just every time I write it, it represents who I want to be and how I want to, the mindset with which I want to approach anything coming up for me for the remainder of that day. I've gone through a couple of these. Today I want to talk about the third thing that I write at the end of the list, which is always connect. Now, the way I first heard of this was actually from the Tim Ferriss podcast a couple of years ago. I was on the road, and driving around somewhere randomly. I had my phone, I was listening to podcasts, and I was listening to this, and I don't remember who he was having a conversation with, but I remember that one of the mantras that they used was always connect, or something sort of like that. I think I've evolved it into always connect, and basically what they were talking about was how to approach networking. I think the point of the conversation was that a lot of people are very afraid of networking, and it sounds scary. When you think of networking, you think of going to a cocktail party, which I have certainly never enjoyed very much, and I found ways to live through them and find ways to enjoy them in my own way. But if you would tell me you either can go to a cocktail party and talk to a number of people, or sit down with your book with some nice music in the background, I would pick the latter 10 times out of 10, because I'm naturally introverted, and that's where that's my happy place, is being with myself with something like that. But there, in the normal course of business, you have to connect with people. You have to build meaningful relationships. You have to identify ways to work well with others, and a lot of times that means you need to be connected and stay connected. With my work in the financial industry, going to lots of conferences, working at larger firms with lots of clients and lots of coworkers in lots of different ways, I've certainly built a network, or have needed to, or have naturally built a network of people around the world in the financial industry, as well as in music and in mindfulness and other things that I'm passionate about. But certainly a majority in the financial industry, and especially those that are in the technical analysis, behavioral finance, investor psychology sort of space, because those are the things that I tend to focus on. So, the conversation they were having was to not think of networking as a task, as something you need to do, but how to be genuine and how to approach it. And her comment was really to think about, managing your day as, thinking of it as you always are connecting, right? In the natural course of doing business, you are talking with other people, and you're emailing other people, and you're putting stuff on social media, and you're having interactions there, and you're, going to a conference and you're meeting people randomly. And their point was to think about those connections and just, explore ways that they can be more meaningful. How can you take advantage of the natural ways that you're relating with other people? And it's very much, again, as with most of the things that I write at the end of my daily journal, it's a mindset thing. It's not something new you need to do. It's a different way that you approach the natural course of your duties. So, this touches on a couple different things for me. When I write always connect at the end, it's a reminder during the course of the day to, when I read something, when I see something, and Byron Ween's article years ago is something I printed out and put in my weekly pile of papers that I review and reflect on. And he talks about basically the way he networked and built a network was when you read something or when you hear something, to write someone in your network, someone you know that you think would benefit from that, and just say, hey, I read this and I thought of you, or I saw this and maybe think of the time that blank. And that is a great way to just naturally stay connected with people, to share thoughts and to help them, help encourage them, but also to build a meaningful network that helps all of you in some way over time. And that's something I've certainly tried to do when I'm reading an article or hearing someone talk. I'm, just naturally thinking of people that I know, and as much as I can, I try to take an article and bang it out to someone and just tell them I'm thinking of them and here's why, and hope you find this interesting. And that served me certainly well. It's helped me to stay connected with people that, unfortunately, in the course of doing business, you start to drift away from people over time if you don't have reasons to stay connected with them. But it's also a way to think about just those natural conversations. You never know when someone that you interact with is going to be meaningful or helpful, or that you could be helpful to somewhere down the road. And most of my job changes, most opportunities that I've had have come from someone that I've connected with in some meaningful way years before. And you don't know when you're having the conversation where it's going to be helpful 5 years down the road, but it's important to have that conversation with that mindset. Don't just be focused on having a pleasant conversation and passing the time well with another human being, but, focus on genuinely helping someone and asking questions to understand what they're trying to do and what they're motivated by and where they're trying to be as a person, personally and professionally, and then thinking of that, keeping that in the back of your mind. So when you hear something, you immediately go back to that conversation you had a long time ago. For me, I have CRM systems, client relationship management or customer relationship management, where you're, literally, detail by detail managing all of your conversations with people. I have one. I use it somewhat. I am not a diehard user because it's a little too in the weeds, I think, for me. But for me, that reminder to always connect is a reminder to just approach things from that way, to answer emails in a way that with someone in a way that helps give them value in some way from the conversation. When I'm talking with someone for the first time, it's really trying to understand who they are and think how I could help them at some point down the road. And that mindset of approaching things from just understanding that every little conversation is an opportunity to connect with someone else, especially given right now and all the barriers we have to that sort of thing. We're, in some ways more limited than ever to get out and meet other people. And I used to go to a lot of conferences, and I've gone to 0 since February, which has been kind of brutal for someone like me, but that's kind of the environment. So it's on you, it's on us more than ever to reconnect with people. And I have had, conferences every year that I've gone to where I see the same group of people, and I've now not seen them in a year. And it's up to me and it's up to them to maintain that relationship and to help stay connected. So for me, always connect is really a mindset with which to approach even the most mundane, unimportant conversation, and think about how I can be helpful to the person on the other end of it. So my question to you today is look at a conversation you have had or the conversation you are going to have through the course of this day. How can you approach it from a spirit of connection and a spirit of help and a spirit of empathy, and how can you lift up the other person? And not just that, not just with an instant gratification of making the conversation more helpful to them, but how can you approach the conversation with the mindset that years down the road, this might be the beginning of something much bigger and much more meaningful for both of you?